You're listening to the Wool Academy podcast. This is episode number 52.
Hello and welcome. My name is Elisabeth van Delden, and once a week we talk to an industry expert from the wool industry supply chain from farm to fashion and beyond, delivering strategies and insights to be successful in wool and showcasing those beautiful stories wool has to tell.
Gaspard Tiné is the founder of Lasso Shoes, a slipper made out of wool felt. Gaspard will talk about how he came up with the idea, how he launched his product and company, and how the startup has developed ever since. Welcome, Gaspard. I look forward to talking to you today. How are you?
Hi, Elisabeth. I'm very well. Thank you for your interest in Lasso and your interview.
Maybe you just start by telling us a little bit more about yourself and the work that you do.
Sure. So I train as a product designer in London, and I've been developing since then quite a wide range of product, from children furniture to more industrial projects. And one of the projects I've been working on intensely since my graduation is a project that actually started during my master, which was about local production. And the brief was about producing something as locally as possible, and thinking about something that we might be the first potential customers. So this whole project started with thinking about something simple that I needed and that I could do very locally and quite easily. Came up with this idea of making a sleepers that would be made of just a single piece of wool felt and a pair of laces, and that's how basically Lasso started. And the very first lasso was actually made within a 500-meter radius. Like, it was really, I've literally just came down the street and found this small shop doing bags and leather accessories, and they had a little bit of felt, and we just produced the whole pair directly there. And since then, it's been the main idea of our company, trying to do things like responsibly and locally, and really know all the people that we are working with and that are involved in the project. So it's a bit wider now, but we are working, all the partners, from the making of the felt to the distribution of the product, are all made within a 500-kilometer radius. So mostly in France.
And I read that you came up with the idea because you had cold feet.
Yeah, right. I was living in a house with housemates in London, and it was an old house, so the heating wasn't really efficient. And through the process of designing the project, I got really interested in wool, because you can actually really feel it when you wear the lasso, when you work with natural wool, is that it's a very intelligent materials, in that you never get sweaty in it, and it sort of can be very, very warm or just chill. It sort of adapts to the moisture and to the temperature of your feet. So it's actually a very efficient material for that purpose, keeping your feet hot.
And did you research this about wool, or did someone tell you about wool, or how did you discover these properties?
Actually, it started with felt more than wool. But one of the interesting thing with felt is that you can do felt out of any material, basically any textile or even plastic, and so you can find all the quality of felt you can imagine, from very cheap insulation or car insulation felt made out of polypropylene or polyethylene, to 100% merino wool felt, and the price basically goes from 1 to 1,000 or something like that. So I actually experienced like different types of felts, and I mean, you can totally, even if some of them looks almost the same, well, not exactly, but almost the same, you can really feel the difference with wool, with the temperature story. Like, you never get sweaty in 100% wool felts. It just kind of opens up and reacts to humidity. So I got interested in wool, because the whole idea was to make something relatively cheap and, I mean, at least affordable and of the best quality we could make, and made the most responsibly, as possible. So, I mean, maybe I should go back from the beginning, but the whole concept of our product is that they delivered flat pack, a bit like IKEA, but you get to choose amongst a very wide range of colors, and you get to sew the sleepers yourself. So it makes this, create this bounds between you and the sleepers, and this feeling of homemade product that, it gives it kind of a unique value, and it's, hand and homemade products. So the idea was to make something with this concept that will be, that be affordable, but also of the best quality if possible. So that's why we use, 95% wool felts, and the 5% is viscose that supplies add to the mix to make it tight enough so that the needles, when they produce the felt, can sleep properly and can function properly, and otherwise you can't have this density in the felts with 100% wool.
And do you And do you source the wool then also locally in France?
Well, it's extremely hard to source enough wool in France, and a lot of it is used for knitting industry. And actually, the factory that we are working with is in northern Italy, just after the border. And they source the wool mostly from northern Italy and Austria, so from around them. But sometimes they buy it on international market because they can't have enough supplies to provide all the clients. But when they do so, they get the best quality they can, that is trade. So even if sometimes the wool is not directly from Northern Europe, it's the best wool you can get in the market. So yeah, and the other thing, I mean, why we are working with this factory is that they are able to provide the exact same quality of felt all year long, and no matter what quantity we're asking. And also they are fully operated by solar panel, and they are engaged in like recycling procedures. So they are really inquisitive about the waste and everything. All the dye that they use is natural dyes. There's no chemicals in the factories, and so it's like it's a very good factory. I mean, we are very happy to work with them.
Yeah, that sounds really good. And how did you find the different suppliers that are all within 500 kilometers of yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question, because we've been approached by a lot of different people that rather through internet or during the commercial fairs that we do. A lot of people interested in taking in charge the production and finding factories in Asia or even like northern or southern Asia, and basically produce everything and just ship us pallets or containers of products, and so that we can focus on the brand. And even though we are focusing a lot on the brand, all the people that we are working with is actually people that we meet and that we talk to very frequently. So, I mean, the only people that we don't meet are the people that owns the sheep, and we would be very happy to know exactly where the wool comes from. But beside that, we have direct relationship with all suppliers. So we met them by, looking for them, and once we met them, having the right feeling that we can work together and that we can grow together for a very long time. And so it's a very kind of human relationship. And that's something very important for us. Like, even though a lot of our business is online, we feel like the relationship with our partners and with the suppliers is the core of our company. And we don't want to be, dealing with people that we have no idea about how they work or where they will live or who they are. So mostly by traveling and visiting factories around us.
With very short distances then, not a long distance flight. Yeah, and yeah, so you say your product footprint is very important for your product. Are you also planning on calculating the actual product footprint at some point?
Yes, totally. And we have data from felt suppliers. So we can start from that. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the project, is to do a real audit of the full the full impact of the whole operation. And one of the other project concerning this is to open a logistic warehouse in the United States. So that's something we've been working on, and we hope that it's gonna happen in the coming year, hopefully. And the idea would be to at first open a logistics center in America, in order to provide all American customers. And after that, actually, the real goal would be to actually open another supply chain and another factory, because a product are quite simple and straightforward to make. So, I mean, an absolute goal would be that the felt is made in each continent, and that we supply each customers with products that are really every time locally made,
Okay,
But it's a big project, so it's
that
taking
sounds
time.
big, yes. So which would be your key markets at the moment?
Actually, so since we work a lot online, we have a lot of data about our market, our clients, and we got quite surprised. It's a very broad market, even though, I mean, the main clients are between 35 and 45 years old, and it's like a little bit more women's, but it's like 55% women's and 45% men's. But we also have like a third of the clients that are over 55 years old, and another third that is under 35. So, it's both young and older people. And it's slightly more urban people, but we also have a lot of people living on the countryside. So it's actually a very, very broad audience, and we think that I don't know. I mean, we hope that it's because of the sincerity of our communication and the transparency that we're trying to have about both our product and our suppliers and and our logistic and everything, that makes our product very adapted to a lot of different audience.
Yeah, and
But we can't really say that we are focusing on one type of client. We're just trying to do something that we would like, and that we would that we would agree to buy, and that we would agree with the concept of the brand and everything. And it seems like a lot of people are agree with us. That's We need something more like responsible and like transparent. So
yeah, and if you say that you want to open a logistics center in the US, is then the US a key market for you?
Oh yeah, you were talking in terms of geographic. Sorry, I
No,
thought
but both things are interesting. But yeah,
yeah,
tell us about the geographics.
the US has always been a very big market for us. It was the first for the first 2 years, and now it's after France and right after Germany. But yeah, it has always been a big market for us since we started on Kickstarter, and that brought us a lot of American customers, and they seems to be the best ambassadors of a brand because we don't spend huge budget on communication and on marketing and everything, and we still have a very like faithful and consistent audience, or groups of clients from the US. And so we figured that it must be the people that bought us once sleepers that are kind of promoting it, and so that that helped us to keep on developing international market, even though we don't necessarily have the funds to organize huge marketing campaign there. But yes, the US is our second market, and it's much bigger than France or than Germany or than France and Germany together. So it's obviously a big
Huge potential as well. Yeah.
Yeah, big potential.
Oh, that's interesting. And how did you come up with the idea that the customer actually has to do the final assembly of the shoe? And what was your idea behind that?
I've been always interested in product that kind of tells stories, and not just about rather the price, like designed to be as cheap as possible, or the design in terms of fashion, just the look of it. I think both, a good price and a good quality and a good look are important. But I also, the object that I have around me that I love the most always kind of have this twist of having a story behind, rather than someone that gave it to me, or it's a little bit broke and I fixed it, or it's something that I inherited or found somewhere interested. So I always had this idea in mind of that the value of something is not only on its price tag. It's more about what relationship you have to it and what story is behind it. And also, as a product designer, you get to see the how do you call it, the back door, like the coulisses. You get to see like the other side of the production, and not just the very nicely setted shops with nice bright light and very good looking people selling you the project, but also the dirty, noisy factories. And so you get to see both sides, and I think a lot of people just don't realize what it takes to produce that they have around themselves. And so making everyone involved kind of I feel at least give you a sense of what it takes and what it has, and when you, because it basically takes like 15 minutes of your time to sew your sleepers, but if you just do it, so it's not a pain or whatever, but then you also get to realize that this is the time it takes. And if it's so cheap, if a lot of things around ourselves are cheap, it's also because people get paid really, really little for the time, So I think, without having to moralize anything or whatever, I think a lot of people are enjoying this task of making it themselves. And I think it makes it makes you both value and think about what you have in your hands and what it is, and by extension what the rest also is. So it's nice, it's
yeah.
I don't know if it sounds a bit like I want to we want to teach people, but it's not that I do. It's more like
that you build a relationship with the product, because in the end you made it like complete.
Exactly, yeah. It's like homemade food, it's always tastes better.
Yeah.
Or homegrown food even better, so it's about that. It's about like valuing things and trying to make something that people won't throw away after a year, or they kind of think twice because they have this relationship with it.
And you also launched your product on Kickstarter very successfully. Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience with the platform?
Sure. Yeah. We actually we made this campaign because I have a very good friend in London that started a company that tried to promote and find designers and help them to launch the campaign on Kickstarter. So it wasn't really her idea at the beginning, but he kind of convinced us to try. And it's been a really, really great experience because I mean, we've asked for, I mean, we received 3 times what we've asked for. And also, we started with this base of very involved clients, I mean, customers that was really, getting the concept of the brand, and very, very supportive backers and or funders. So it helped us to launch without having to borrow too much money to the bank. Actually, we borrowed very little to the bank to start, and also it gave us straight away this large audience of people that was great ambassadors for the brand. So I think it's a real new paradigm of especially for designers or creators that end up having a lot of ideas, and there's a lot of very talented people out there, but the industry as it is today is it's very hard for a product designer to find like big editor to produce things. Rather even factories or big brands, they are very careful about the investment that they make. Most of the time they would hardly promote like a completely unknown designers. So you get to do a lot of exhibitions and you have a lot of press coverage, but at the end of the day, it's very hard to get one of your production really like in people's hands, And I think this crowdfunding things makes it happen in a very, very unique and direct way, and it promotes a lot of value that we have, and I think a lot of people in our generation has as like transparency and direct relation between the creators and the users, and also like a new way of seeing entrepreneurship as not as like business people that would be only focusing on how much money they can make, and no matter what they would sell or produce, but entrepreneurs in terms of like inventors and people that would be 100% invested in what they do and in every step or aspect of what they do, and being like conscious about who they're working for, who they're working with, who their clients are, how they produce the stuff. And so, I think it really is a new paradigm, because you get to work. It makes it happen. It makes it doable for very small creators to actually launch a company. And I'm not saying that it's easy and that everything happens nicely. On both sides, if you don't have enough customers, or if you have too much customers, it can be a very, very challenging adventure, but also extremely rewarding, because you get to meet directly the people that like your brand, like your work. And even now we still, it's been 3 years and we still receive message from people that backed us on Kickstarter and that is buying like a new pair after 3 years and said, we love your work, go on and keep on the good work. So it's really has been a great adventure for us, and that's why now, after 3 years of selling sleepers and focusing on a supply chain and our partners and making everything happen nicely, we are finally ready to launch a new project. So we're going to do a new Kickstarter campaign on the very end of September, first week of October on Kickstarter. So I'll send you the link so that you can put it on your website.
Yes,
and
we will do that.
we are very excited about it. And it's also made out of wool felt. And so we really hope that the first community of backers will enjoy it and will be here again to support and promote Lasso.
And is it also a shoe or is it a different product?
No, it's a backpack.
Okay, Great.
It's a backpack, yeah.
Okay.
And we've actually designed like a special felt with the suppliers to make it like completely waterproof and water repellent without any chemical product. So it was quite challenging, but we are very happy with the results, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. And yeah, I'll make sure to link to your Kickstarter campaign and, of course, your website in the show notes so that also our audience can support your new product. Excellent. And yeah, you talked earlier already a little bit that you actually don't have a big marketing budget, but you are, of course, very active on the different social media platforms. Tell us a little bit more which platforms you're using and if you see like one performing better than the other.
Yeah, okay. So again, a bit like Kickstarter, we are now in a time where marketing and finding customers is is very different from what it was even 10 years ago, because we are using. I mean, the only real marketing campaign that we do is on Facebook, and so we are doing it ourselves, and we are finding our audience and making the ads ourselves and deciding the budget ourselves and everything, and it's quite interesting because with there's just 3 of us at Lasso and 2 full-time, and we managed to create all these campaigns and to meet new customers, and really knowing what we're looking for and finding them quite precisely. So it's very helpful for small entrepreneurs, because back in the days you used to just put money on like prints and posters and putting them a bit like wherever you wish it would work, but without any feedbacks, and it's kind of a lot of money to start. And with these tools now we're able to really prospect and find new customers without spending a huge amount of money and without taking a huge amount of risk. So we use a lot the Facebook ads system and a little bit Google too. And then we have Instagram too, and we are trying as much as possible to be active on Instagram. And it's working well, but we don't there's quite a lot of brands, and I don't know if it's something that we can say out loud because it's a bit of a, but there's quite a lot of brand that buys a lot of followers or buys a lot of likes and promote their brand in that way of using fake, of making fake fans and fake customers, and we don't do that. Like, it's not something that we are, we like to. That we don't consider a brand, that in that way. So even though we receive a lot of emails, of people trying to sell us like followers or likes or to promote like kind of artificially a product, we don't do that. We just try to post quality pictures and to find people that has the same interest as we do, and to put ads to people that we know are interested in a product. But that's basically the core of our marketing activity: Instagram and Facebook.
Okay,
for sure.
So it's more of you're trying to grow organically on those platforms as much as possible with the support of a little bit of advertisement as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's also different types of advertisement, and we're trying to be transparent and honest in our way of advertising too. So we don't buy fake likes and fake followers.
Yeah, that's clear. Okay, cool. And I saw also on your YouTube channel that you have like 3 very short videos that show how the Lasso shoe gets cut, printed on, and also stitched together. Do you think that's important to give this kind of behind the scenes? And I also saw that you actually like provide the name and the link to the French company that is assembling the shoes.
Yeah.
Is that like the new transparency?
Yeah, that's the same idea, and I mean, since then we had to change this factory because they weren't able to follow the production, and they had some changes. I mean, they sold the workshop, and so we had to leave. But in between the 2 years that we've been working with them, we provided them, thanks to this video and the Kickstarter and everything, 3 other clients found them thanks to us, and it was very nice, we're not in that stage where we need to, buy out competitors or make sure don't have, for instance, with the leather industry, you hear a lot of these kind of stories of people buying the leather factory so that they make sure that other brands can't have it, and hiding the way they produce stuff, and buying like exclusivities on some supplies. At least that's something that you hear a lot in France with all the luxury business. But again, that's not the way we do things, or we see ourselves. Like, if we can provide to our suppliers new clients, and if we can help young entrepreneurs to make their project happens by finding the right supplier, we're more than happy to do that and to help. So we're gonna do some more of these videos and a bit updated. And yeah, it's the same idea of being transparent and trying to work hand in hand with the suppliers and the manufacturers, and not if you can help them out, then maybe they'll help us out, and it's
Yeah, that's
it's a
true.
nice way to work. It's not like we're not at war here,
Yeah, true. And my last question to you is, maybe what can people learn from your experience? So what was kind of your biggest challenge that you faced during the last 3 years, and then
Yeah,
the learning that you took away?
certainly. So I mean, I did a little bit of lecture to business schools and all that thing, and it's true that it feels like a lot of the people that are involved in business or entrepreneurship and trying to make stuff, they are very focused on the idea of making something online and raising as much fund as possible and selling the company as quick as possible. And since I'm a product designer and I'm only as a graphic designer, and we never train as business people, we don't see it that way, and we might be a bit more old school. But the fact that when you produce something, you actually invest a lot in the stock, and it's it takes time to grow, and you take risk, and it's not like the startup life that you could imagine, like as people like finding millions of investors and trying to do everything quickly. We are more like a traditional business, and there's a lot in it that we love, and it's maybe a bit longer, and you need to be very resilient. And at the beginning, we didn't pay ourselves for maybe a year and a half or 2 years. And it was long and tough, but it's also very rewarding to like I said before, like knowing all these people like that we're working with, and knowing these clients, and seeing the company grow like at a steady rhythm, and yeah, like producing something, like making something that is part of daily life of hundreds or even thousands of people, and that is quiet and still here, and that is liked by all these people. So I think it's a very, very rewarding job, but it's you get these tough moments, of course, and you have to be a bit stubborn. Like, you have to be, it's like,
Have a long breath. Yes.
yeah, long breath,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, yeah,
Mm.
you can't, you can't just say, I didn't fundraise enough money, or the bank refused this credit, so fuck it. You have to, yeah, continue pursuing your will and your idea, and it takes time, but it's very. I mean, I feel like it's very, very rewarding, and especially these little things. It's not like because we've been into very fancy shops in Paris, and we had like a very fancy press coverage after the Kickstarter and everything. And actually, that's not the most rewarding that we got. The biggest reward is really, normal customers that bought us just one pair, and it's just, almost by accident dropping us this very nice mail saying that, he loved his slippers and he's gonna buy a new pair, and he backed us on Kickstarter, and just that he understand what we're trying to do, and this these small mails, but it's priceless to us. It's
That fuels your energy. Okay, sounds really good. So where can our listeners now either get their own Lasso shoes or just find out more about you and your company?
great, cool, and we'll make a discount code so you can have it
Okay, great.
quickly.
So what's the website that they should go to?
Oh, sorry, it's www.lasso-shoes, so plural shoes.com. But if you just have Lasso Shoes on Google search bar, you'll find us really quickly.
That's good. Okay, excellent. Yeah, well, great for the promo code. We'll put all the details in the show notes, and also the Kickstarter campaign. So lots going on at Lasso Shoes. And I thank you so much for your time today, Gaspard, and talking so openly about all that you do.
Sure. Thank you for the interview. Have a nice day, Elisabeth.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you want to get your own pair of Lasso shoes, you can now get a 10% discount with the promo code WOOL written with 3 O's. So that is all small caps WOOOL. Just enter this promo code when you are on the website for Lasso Shoes, and at the checkout there will be 10% discounted on your final price. You can find the link to the Lasso Shoes websites in the show notes, as well as the link to the Kickstarter campaign for the wool backpack over at elisabethvandelden.com/052. Once again, that is elisabethvandelden.com/052. Don't want to miss out on any of the future episodes? Then subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher, and also like us on Facebook at Elisabeth Van Delden. Thank you, and see you next week.